and this only on the condition of transference, which is ultimately Oedipal, but in which also the pre-Oedipal father, the oceanic mother, and all other figures occur. Freud, who was the least religious man in this century, last century, did not hesitate to postulate, following to the reading that I proposed this evening, to the ego indeed. He has not hesitated to postulate by commenting afterwards also on the destiny of paternity. I'm quoting, a high design for humans, das höhere Wesen in Menschen. Far from betraying some idealistic regression, this theorization indicates logics of an immanentization of transcendence. The transcendence becomes immanent through this conception of language that infilters the other in the self, which the founder of psychoanalysis discovered by and in the process of transference within the speaking cure he invented. The analysis makes new types, cathexis, beliefs, investments possible. I will say that the type, the cathexis, the belief that the cure enables to analysis to establish is none other than the type of the investment of cathexis and of the symbolization process itself. What I want to say by this, generally we think that the successful end of psychoanalysis is to find the good object, whatever it may be, the sexual partner, friend, professional role, symbolic idea, etc. But however optimal it may seem, this object cannot exist in the long run unless the speaking analysis subject is capable of infinitely deconstructing, reconstructing its meaning. Which means that what psychoanalysis gives us is to believe that we are capable to bring new links, to believe in them, and to know them, and to rebuild them, to construct and deconstruct them. The need to believe and desire to know, this is what it gives us, and not the adaptation to a particular object or situation. The cathexis is possible, says psychoanalytic cure. The investment is possible, but this is the investment of the symbolic process itself. From the need to believe to the desire to know, and vice versa, that's what he gives to us. And I insist firmly on this fact. It is this displacement of the speaking subject with respect to itself, this infinitesimal revolution constitutive to our practice, that disturbs the world. When psychoanalysts say this, people say, but it's not enough, it's too fuzzy. You want to adapt, you want to take Prozac, you want to take Viagra, we have to be pragmatic. Our intention is to make people able to make links with them, to make nets, to believe in something and somebody, in some action, and to be able to deconstruct it, and not to achieve an adaptation. My fear is that psychoanalysts themselves, we, are not clever enough, or maybe not courageous enough, in the art of expliciting this exceptional singularity which consists in speaking in psychoanalysis. In speaking in psychoanalysis, I say, I think, I believe that I can know. Je pense que je peux savoir. And yet this experience seems to be the only one that can save us, not from a culture that psychoanalysis has revealed to be dominated by the death instinct. Freud said our culture is produced by the death drive. This can save us by diverting this death drive, deferring it, rerouting it, knowing its causes. The experience is infinite and questions the very conditions of speaking, including the need to believe. Now, let me present some aspects of what seems to me essential again in a very sketchy way, in the Bible first, in the Gospel second, about the position of this individuation through the paternal function, through the separation with the paternal and maternal figures that are inscribed as acquisitions of monotheism and maybe as forces of monotheism. I'll stress first in the Bible the interdiction versus sacrifice, or how to construct the subject in man. In a very paradoxical way, I found in the writings of the French Cardinal Lustiger, died recently, this very interesting expression. He says that the sense, according to him, of the biblical election, to be the elected people, means how to construct the subject in man. The election constructs the subject in man. And I wonder, what does he want to say? The biblical election constructs the subject in man. I think that the psychoanalytic reading of the Bible will find the terrain in the Bible for the veritable strategy of identity. It begins with the distinction pure-impure, Torah Tameh, that appears in the biblical episode of the Holocaust that Noah offers to God after the deluge. The opposition, though it is not absolute, inscribes itself in the fundamental concern of the biblical text to separate, to constitute strict identities without any mixture. The theological corpus is based on the gap between man and God. What is presupposed is this difference between me and other. Yet this fundamental difference in fact subsumes others, life and death, vegetable and animal, flesh and blood, healthy and sick, authority and incest. Biblical impurity is straight off linked to the religious cult because the impure is excluded from the temple. It concerns things, food, menstrual blood, leprosy, gonorrhea, etc., not immediately related to the sacred place. It is therefore secondary, by metaphor, that impurity concerns the temple just as consequently that which is excluded from it, particularly idolatry. So first what is excluded is some body materials and then idolatry. The space and the law of the one don't exist without a series of separation, oral, corporal, or even more generally material, and in the last instance, relative to the fusion with the mother. I elaborated this better in my book called Powers of Horror, where I examine the alimentary taboo in the Bible. The pure-impure scheme bears witness to Judaism's battle against paganism and its maternal cultures, a struggle essential to its constitution. In our personal lives, this scheme points back to the force of the struggle that each of us must lead to separate from the mother and become a speaking subject and/or a subject of the law. By its emphasis on taboo, beginning with dietary interdictions, the Bible protects itself from sacrificial intervention, or at least subordinates sacrifice to taboo. Biblical abomination would then be an attempt to halt murder. By upholding abomination, Judaism distinguishes itself from sacrificial religions. With biblical abomination, does religion not clearly aim to surpass itself into ethics? Patiently, meticulously, obsessively, the defenses that Freud underlines in Jewish religious rituals against the desire to kill transform the death drive into an ideal self, and the taboo becomes ethics. What initially appeared to us as a foundational opposition between man and God, and the following sequences of separation: vegetal, animal, flesh, blood, consequent to